one of our favorites, Chris Webber, back here on the show. How are you, C. Webb?
Hey, I'm good, Rich. How you doing?
What'd you think of the Warriors last night? What'd you see? What'd you see with your eyeballs there?
It's Groundhog Day. I mean, they led the league in assists last year. They were right on point with about 28 last night. They made sure that they moved the ball around, got guys involved. And you know what really stuck out to me is Kevin Durant is just so great. I mean, we've never seen anything like him. But it's just amazing that sometimes you can forget how good Steph and Clay are because Durant is so good. I was just sitting last night just thinking, Curry is incredible, but when Durant has the ball, his height, his skill set, I mean, these guys are good, and it's hard for me to see anybody that can stop them. I just saw, a continuance of their play, of their unselfish play, and their teamwork.
Do you think it still hurts with the Thunder to see Durant in this uniform? Because it sure looked like he and Westbrook had some words last night, Chris.
Yeah, you know what? I think they've let that go, but I think it's still a beef. And what I mean by that is, hey, nobody's mad that you left and you played. We understand that you did your thing, and whatever beef we had about that, okay. But now we have a new beef, and I still don't want y'all to beat me. Like, I don't think Westbrook takes it any more personal, Durant, than anyone else. He's kind of like Kobe to me in the fact, and other players that maybe I've played with in the fact that you just, I was like this when I played. Like, I wasn't friends with anybody. I maybe had 4, maybe 5 friends in the NBA my whole time in the NBA. So I never was in these boys groups, these clubs, and cool with a bunch of agents and go work out. I didn't want that. Kevin Garnett was my favorite player. But I told him, like, I'll win a crazy contest. I don't care about getting kicked out the game. We will be friends after our career, and we are now. I love him, but it was just something where, hey, man, it's me against you. And I think that's where Westbrook is with a guy like Durant, and Durant is against everyone. And to me, it's kind of refreshing to see, knowing that they really don't hate each other, but they don't like each other on the court. I like that competitiveness.
And it seems, though, that's fine when you do that against somebody from another team. Seems like Jimmy Butler's taken that approach with his own teammates. Chris, from my perspective, I'm wondering what you think.
Yeah. Okay, so with this one, this is intriguing. So I used to, and when I played with Juwan and other guys in the NBA, I remember one practice Juwan and I had where we would always practice on the same team, and we would, it was great. We were encouraging our team in Washington, and one day we kind of had to, not formulate, but almost say, I was like, I'm playing with the second team because we're going to beat y'all. The first team is too lazy. And he would say the same thing. But everyone knew that what we were trying to do was make the third team better and let guys know that you can win with anybody and this locker room is equal and those type of things. And so if that was Jimmy Butler's goal, to piss people off and to say, hey, we can win with this team, great. But if it was anything else, it's just not cool. Like, I didn't like what he and D-Wade did that time in Chicago, saying the guys don't play hard after the game. That was BS. That's just throwing guys under the bus. And in this situation, I know Jimmy's a tough player. I love his game. I love his story. But how can you have a successful locker room with this? Like, I hear everybody, and I know a lot of hoopers don't like talking about hoopers and all that, but this is a bad situation. You got young Wiggins there. Everybody's saying he doesn't play hard. Nobody knows that. I remember people said that about Tracy McGrady because of his body language. So nobody knows if Wiggins plays hard or not. Nobody knows if Cat plays hard or not. You know why? Because they have a terrible offense. You could talk about they were fourth all you want last year. Playoff teams I was talking to, they were like, we're going to kill them in the playoffs because they play regular season basketball. You can win during the regular season playing regular season basketball. Wasn't impressed by their 1-point win over Denver at home to make the playoffs. I wasn't impressed by that. So I think they're feeling themselves too much. I don't see Michael Jordan on that team yet, and I think that Towns is one of the best young big men in the game. And I'd like to see this team be athletic. I like to see them get out and run. I like to see them get out of their way. And so to me, Minnesota, the last 2 years have been my favorite team and my most hated team because I love them because of their potential, but, they don't play like a good young team. And I think everybody, the coach, everybody has to look at themselves and say that they're a part of it.
Well, I mean, what Your colleague on Turner in his in Area 21. I don't know if KG needed the curse button or not, but he said that Glenn Taylor, the owner of the Timberwolves, doesn't know basketball. He might have said it in a little bit more of a not safe for work way. I mean, so what if Butler is in a situation where he's just trying to get out of there, Chris?
Well, then Tibbs got to let him go. Like, for him to say Tibbs likes that and he liked the fact I did this at practice, that's BS. Like, I need my coach to be on my side, even when you're beating me up and making me better. So I'm just saying that it just doesn't feel right. You're starting the season. So what are your aspirations, Rich? What are your aspirations if you're a Minnesota player? To make the playoffs, to win the championship, or just to get to December and January and hope you don't have to try to fight a teammate? You got families tweeting others. Like, it's just not a good situation. Like, it's almost like starting a marriage off, you know, after you both try to kill each other and then you make passion levels. Oh, no, it's going to work. What we did last night, oh, that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, where do you go from here? I don't know. I was always the guy that had to try to help control the locker room. And for me, if we were friends, like to talk a little football.
Go for it.
I didn't like how the offensive line did Le'Veon Bell. I never got on a guy for getting his money. Never. You can always go get your money. It's not a family. They'll trade you like Isaiah Thomas tomorrow. Go get your money. Okay, that's one thing. But to talk about us and then want to come back in the locker room and then to tell stories to the media about me and all that, we're not having that. I'm going to see you in the locker room. So I think that, maybe they're, it's a different day and they're better men than all the men that have come before them, but I don't know how you do with ego and competitiveness in the locker room, Rich. I don't see how this could work at all.
And they're in San Antonio tonight. They open up in San Antonio tonight. I mean, we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if Jimmy Butler's there. I mean, crazy. It really, I haven't seen anything quite like it. And
when he leaves, Rich, what are they going to say? Like, now, what pressure did you put on Cat? Like, what pressure did you put on Wicks? And don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, if I'm a Minnesota fan and Butler gets traded, maybe he helped our team more than any coach, any GM, anyone could, because what he said about these guys is going to linger with them their whole career until they disprove it. And so maybe this is the fire that you need to start it under them, but you can't have that guy around all the time after you start the fire.
Chris
Yeah,
Chris Webber here on the Rich Eisen Show. Sorry, I thought you were done. Chris Webber here on the Rich Eisen Show. You're making your way to Portland. That's going to be a heck of a moment when obviously they remember Paul Allen before that game, and then it's going to be LeBron coming out in a Lakers uniform. What is the realistic expectation, do you think, for LeBron in his first year with the Lakers, Chris Webber?
Well, this is, I think the only one that agrees with me is Charles Barkley. So I know he's right a lot, but then again, he's been epically wrong. So I don't know which side
Nice.
of history. But this is my thing, and I just hope fans really understand this. So let me start by saying this. If the Lakers make the playoffs, no one will appreciate how great LeBron is. This will be one of his best accomplishments because this is the West Coast. You're asking him to win 20 more games in a conference where teams are so good, veteran teams, and he has a team of newcomers this first year. We saw that he couldn't win a championship in Miami his first year. How hard is that once you get guys together? We've seen that with a lot of different teams, but yes, he makes his players better. Yes, he's one of the smartest players, one of the greatest players ever to play. He's going to energize that community. But I still see their move being next year because I just have a couple questions. Besides him, who's going to shoot three-pointers?
Mm-hmm. I guess Hart, right? I don't. It's definitely not Lonzo off the top of my head. It's not Rondo.
They're down three. We double-team LeBron. Who's going to shoot the three-pointer?
All right.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
Who's going to
Kuzma can fill it up. I mean.
Wow. So now we're depending on the second-year power forward. Okay.
I'm just throwing these names out at you.
No. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just, that's not the Shane Battier, Kyle Korvers, the Mike Millers, the guys that hit 8 for 8 in the finals, and Ray Allen. I'm just saying that with talent, specific talent, with this team that they have now, and I like the players that they have, it doesn't seem that they have the skill sets to win in the West. And, of course, Pelinka's my man and Magic's my man. So
Yes.
They probably will make trades and help the team. But as the team stands today before their first game, I do not see how they're going to make the playoffs in the rough West with the new team, and I just don't think they have the shooters. I think it's too many ball handlers and not enough shooters.
Not even the eighth and final playoff spot with LeBron? I mean, that would be, based on last year's standings, the Lakers would have to be plus 12. Plus 12 in the win column to get to the eighth and final playoff spot if everything stayed from last year is this year.
And based on that, then Denver, who lost by one game, who I think is going to be a top 4 team, you got to give them 10 more wins. You got to take San Antonio into consideration. So I do think there's a chance with injuries and things like that. But, when you go to Denver and then on a Wednesday and Portland on a Thursday, those back-to-backs kill you. There's more traveling on the West Coast, as I'm sure many people understand. When you're traveling on the East, you go from Toronto to Cleveland, an hour and a half, 2-hour flight. You go to Texas after a LA game, that's 3.5 hours. It's just all the little intangibles, along with new teammates and along with guys that LeBron being the best penetrator in the game, getting to the lanes, getting double and triple teams. When he kicks it out, you still got to knock the shot down. You can say what you want about J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, those guys, but they did knock those shots down. And I'm interested to see who's going to step up and knock them down because I love Brandon Ingram, but he's a slasher. I see all slashers and want to see, besides LeBron, who can consistently knock down that hot three.
Few minutes left with Chris Webber, Turner Sports, fresh off of calling the game with Marv in Golden State last night. So our poll question is which team do you think is going to have the best chance to prevent the Warriors from winning it all? So we included the Lakers. So we'll throw that one out based on your last answer. Celtics or Rockets or other, Chris? Which one would you choose?
Now, I do think LeBron is good enough. I know this all sounds kind of crazy. I don't know if he's good enough. I don't know if this team will be good enough to get to the playoffs, but they can beat a couple of teams in a 7-game series where they can concentrate on you. They have time to plan, time to adjust. So if they have time, they can do that. But every day, I don't think they can. And I think maybe Houston because Houston's in the same conference. Arguably, you could say Houston could have won it last year with the healthy Chris Paul. I just think by them losing Trevor Ariza and Ba Mute, I think that's too much for them. But in this West Coast, they set a record for threes last year. They love D'Antoni's style of play. Melo is re-engaged, has a bunch to prove. Capella got paid. He should be happy. And I just see Houston being that team.
All right, last one for you, Chris, is your honorary captaincy for Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines is coming up, correct? You're doing that?
Yeah, I am. I'm still excited. I believe it's November 3rd against Penn State.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Are you
that's going to be a big one.
Are you going to dress the team?
The next two. That we're still working out everything, but I'm going to take. I know you've done it before. I'm going to take full advantage of every opportunity to be with the team, to speak to those guys, and it's always good being around young energy and pumping them up and letting them know who they are and that type of thing. And just think about, we have a couple big games, but if we win that game, that could be the culmination, and some pretty great things could happen after that if we win it. So I'm so excited to go back. Did you see how beautiful it was last Saturday night when the lights were on TV?
That's right.
At the game, 100,000. So, man, I was getting goosebumps then talking to my father. We were laughing, and so I'm excited. I'm pumped. I can't wait.
But
to get
there's
back.
Michigan versus Michigan State before then, and firsthand what that means in that state, Chris.
Yes, I do, and I know that you got to respect the Spartans, and they have to respect both because for a few years there, it seemed like every team would go undefeated: Ohio State, Michigan State, and then the end of the season, one of those teams would beat the other one to advance. And so, you always got to, respect. We're playing really some good ball. Our offense is coming together, and you don't want to mess with our defense. And so I feel good about where we are, where Coach has the kids, and the confidence that they have. And I'll be ready November 3rd to cheer loudly and stand on the sideline like I'm doing something important.
Well, I'll tell you this, too. I've told you before. I'll say it here, too. I'm just excited you're going back to campus, and you're injecting yourself into Michigan athletics, Chris. It's pretty cool. Speaking on behalf of all Wolverines. If you don't mind.
Thank you, man. And it's pretty cool to get back and to see my fellow Wolverines and people that went to school there and alumni. Everywhere I'm going, Rich, people from Michigan. We're so happy to have you back, and I always tell them you're not happier than me. So I love it, and I can't say anything, but I'm excited, man. So I'll make sure I take a lot of pictures and video and show everyone because it's an important moment.
And you are happy about it. You are happy with the decision to go and do this, right, Chris? Correct.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Good.
mean, yeah, I wouldn't have done it if not. And I tell you what, the most thing that I'm worried about, and I talked to you about earlier, is the most pressure is I just want the guys to win when I'm there.
That's right.
That's
Oh,
all.
yes.
Not like I can help them win or help them lose, but you don't want to be captain on that day. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. I'm not worried about anything else.
I know.
I'm definitely happy to be back. Go Blue, baby.
You chose it. You chose a good one. Chris, I love our chats. I'm excited that the season is back, and I hope that means we get to chat a lot more often.
Oh, man, and tell your better half I said hello, and keep putting up with you.
You got it. Thanks. Thanks, C-Web. All right, that's Chris Webber, at Real Chris Webber.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.